guys, you're welcome back to Reviews and Recaps. Let's get into today's video. Today we're going to be talking about Maurice Scott and how he embarrassed himself at court. Now, I have a lot to say, but first of all, shout out to True T. She was the one covering this, the one that is exposing him, honey, and I am here for it. I wish I could have been there. Like, imagine just being there, being a fly on the wall, listening to it myself. I would probably be laughing so hard they might have to kick me out. Courtroom. Like, that's how crazy this is. But anyways, if you're new to this channel, I do reality TV jury on shows, on celebrity news, and everything in between. So make sure you smash that subscribe button and that bell button right next to it, so you know every single time that I post. And everyone, please like, share, and don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section below. Now let's get into today's video. Now, for those of you who do not know, the backstory is there is a lawsuit between Maurice and Miss Black Titanic. Now, Own is a party in this lawsuit as well. Basically, they had a court date, and Maurice, the lawyer, allegedly was showing himself. Okay, he attended the court with nobody. When I say nobody, apparently Kimmy wasn't even there. Like, I would have thought like Kimmy would have at least shown up for her man, but I guess not. She's like, I do not want any parts of this, and I cannot blame her. Now, apparently he didn't even walk in with nothing. He literally showed up unprepared, alleged. I have to say, everything on this channel and in this video is alleged and in my opinion only, and for entertainment purposes and purposes of critique, right? So whilst we have that out in the way, let's talk about it, okay? Maurice was trying to get the judge to remove Own from the lawsuit as a party, right? So that's the whole point of why Maurice was, I guess, trying to defend that. But what was interesting was when he was asked by the judge why the request should be granted, he could not give a good reason. How do you show up to court unprepared and unable to explain why your request should be granted? Now, whether or not the judge chooses to accept that, but at least you should have a good reason. And from what it was sounding like, it sounded like there was no good reason provided by Maurice for that. He told the judge that he and Own Network had no connection. It was also said in that video that he was apparently lying as well, and Miss Black Titanic's lawyer had to call him out on his lies. And even the judge allegedly started calling it out too. That means your credibility is shattered. And as a lawyer, that does not look good. It's very interesting that he's able to do this. Like in some other jurisdictions, in some other countries, if you are at a court hearing lying to the judge or lying in a way, being dishonest, whatever the case may be, can report you to the regulation authority, who would look into that. And if they find out that you've been dishonest, you're doing all of these things, guess what they'll do? Move you from being a member of their role. And so I'm quite surprised that he would be playing games with a legal career that he fought and probably struggled so hard to get. Like, truth is, even if I'm not saying that this is his case, regardless of where he decided to go to law school is not the easiest thing to do. We may have our feelings about Maurice and whatnot, but law school is not the easiest thing to do. So if you go through law school, all those hours, reading, paying for law school, doing all those things, I would at least expect that you would not want to throw it away by doing silly things. And I feel like this is an example of where I think that lost sight of what is really important, and he has now dragged himself down a rabbit hole. This is my opinion. According to True T, apparently the judge let him know there was no way Own was being released from the lawsuit, and Own Network is the defendant. He was also a defendant unless he comes up with reasons why he needs to be released from the lawsuit. Now, it was looking like he came unprepared when the court was asking him for evidence and dates. He had nothing. And it's interesting because I don't know anybody that will show up to court unprepared, without certain documents, without evidence, unless you're trying to evade, like, oh, I don't really believe in the relevancy of this suit and I feel like it's going to be dismissed, so you're trying to act unbothered, whatever the case may be. I don't know no lawyer that is going to show up with no evidence. Even if you're fighting for something to be removed or you're fighting to be released, you need to be able to prove that you are meant to be released of the lawsuit. If you cannot bring anything to satisfy that, then what is the point? Why show up at all? At least if you didn't show up, then a default judgment would be made against you, right? And you can be like, oh, well, you didn't show up, blah, blah, blah. But the truth is, you showed up only to embarrass yourself. Now, everyone knows what happened at the courtroom because people like Truty are covering it. Apparently, some of the lies that he told, that he was trying to deny knowing anything about the people he was suing. But apparently, Miss Black Titanic's lawyer is on it. And from what I was listening to, it sounds like Truty was even the one that hooked Miss Black Titanic up with the lawyer. Like, shout out to Truty. Truty is a real advocate out here in these YouTube streets. She is not playing, and I'm absolutely here for it. Apparently, the lawyer was like, every time he's like, he doesn't have something, the lawyer's like, there you go. There you go. And I'm like, oops. Imagine denying all these things when basically, from what Truty was saying, he had details about who Miss Black Titanic was. He had her real name, her occupation, and some personal information. It's like, where did you get all of these things from? Apparently, he also had things about Here for Hot Tea's name on the paperwork, her husband's name. I'm like, what does her husband have to do with anything? Like, no one knows, or no one should know her husband's name or her name. She is an anonymous channel. And so, like, I think with her husband is usually marked as tech guy. That's the best that you should know. Like, how do you know their names? Like, it's so concerning. And when I think about how sometimes the way the YouTube streets, when it comes to Love and Marriage Huntsville, is going, I'm like, it's not feeling like a safe space. Like, why do you need to know somebody's name? Why do you need to go and research who they are and all that kind of stuff, and then denying and saying you don't know anything about them? Like, it's very concerning. People choose to be anonymous on platforms like this for different reasons. So it's like, you can't just be having people's personal information willy-nilly like that. It's so unfair. It's not right. I hope that he knows that the way things are going, say in Southeast London, it's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good. It really is not looking good for Mr. Maurice right now. T said something, and I cannot but agree with her. It's almost like he didn't expect it to go as far as it has gotten. He probably thought that he could say certain things to YouTubers and the YouTubers will just go down without fighting. But, like, he chose the wrong ones. Like, I'm not being funny. Of all the YouTubers you could even potentially come for. Now, I'm not saying you should come for YouTubers. Please don't misunderstand me, because I don't want to be having to check people in the comments. You guys know I choose peace most times. But, like, of all of that, how do you get to the point where now you're being sued for millions and now your employer is now also attached, a joint party in the suit? That's crazy. It's like, you're one of, in my opinion, you're one of the most critical parts of Love and Marriage Huntsville. That was even the nicest way of me putting it, because I feel like we know so much about the castmates, especially Melody and Martell. We don't know anything about Maurice to be completely. We don't know enough about Maurice. We don't care enough about Maurice on the show itself. So when you think about it in that way, you think about the fact that we don't really know him like that. There isn't much about him that we can really be like, oh my God, we like Maurice. We can't really say that. So you're not bringing too much, or you're not bringing enough to your employer. And now you decide that the one thing you're going to bring to them is a lawsuit. It's like, imagine not being a critical part of establishment, only to show up at the establishment with a lawsuit. It's like, how did you even get there? Like, you're not bringing enough notoriety to the show to earn them a lawsuit. Like, for instance, now if they get a lawsuit in relation to Mattel, they'll probably be like, okay, we asked for it, but Mattel has at least given us some things on the show. But you, on the other hand, no one can say something that you brought to the show that made the show interesting, and that is quite sad. Honestly believe that he didn't expect things to go this far, and shocker, has gone all the way down. That is all I have to talk to you guys about today. Don't forget to hit that like button, the share button, the subscribe button, and that bell button right next to it. Also, let me know what you guys think. You guys know I like to chat with you guys in the comments, so let's go continue the conversation in the chat, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Bye.